In today's video, we're going to set up this 30 by 30 by 45 Exoterra tank for a baby Crested Gecko. Honestly, the way that we're going to do this is going to be so simple, so straightforward, so cheap to do, and be an amazing tank at the same time. So if we look at this bottom bit, we want to give this a layer of bedding or substrate across the bottom. I'm using a custom blend of topsoil and play sand. You can find those linked down below, but it is your bog standard topsoil and play sand that you get at garden centres and like Home Depot. And we're going to put that in our tank. Now it doesn't need to be too deep, just enough so it's going to hold moisture. Crested geckos don't really dig, only breeding females. And as a baby, your Crested gecko is not going to be laying eggs. I'm just going to get my hand in here and level it out. A couple of inches or so is all you're really going to need. Now the next part we're going to do is add some branches. Crested geckos live in trees in the wild, so we need to give some branches in our tank for them to climb. So what I've done is I've cut off some pieces of wood from my apple tree from my front garden. I'm going to add it here and have this like that. What I'm trying to do is imagining a basking spot here. So it's a tree to sit on and some branches to sit on, and then I'm going to have another stick coming here, and I'm going to have my heat lamp here. I also got this stick from my apple tree, and I'm going to do the same. So I'm going to put this going up into this corner. I like the look of this. What you need to be thinking about is it functional? So if I come around here, I can then point and show you. So in just a few moments, I'll show you. We're going to have our heat lamp here. So we want our Crested gecko to be able to sit along here, sit here maybe underneath here, and have a nice gentle path up and down so they can get up into the warm patch and then move down away from it. Now, the eagle-eyed among you will notice that this is pretty bare. So what I'm going to do is add some leafy branches, again, cut down from my yard. So this plant is a laurel bush. This will go perfectly into this setup. So it's naturally bending this way. So I'm going to try and put it through like that, then have it come up here. I'm just going to add one more piece in this front area, like this. What I'm going to do now is come in with some scissors and I'm going to trim up some of these leaves. And the leaves that I trim off can be leaf litter. I do want to focus on trimming some bits up around my basking spot that I've got on my head, just so you haven't got leaves right under a heat lamp that can like shrivel up or catch on fire. So just trim that up. So the way that I'm viewing this is that he's sat in the trees and there's leaf cover to hide in, and then there's a patch of sunlight in the bare opening in the tree, in the canopy of the bush that he's in. So the next thing is lighting. So I'm going to pop this lid on, turn this on, and we're going to get our lights. So now that we've got our tank done, we need to go into heating. What I'm going to use is a heat lamp. So all you really need is a dome like this. You can get that cheaply on Amazon. I've got a link down below. Get a small low wattage heat lamp, screw that into this, and you're sorted. I would really go for like a 20 watt, maybe like a 40 watt, 50 watt, something really low wattage. Crested geckos, people keep them at room temperature. They're quite a cool species, but they do like a bit of a sunbathe in the sunshine. So we don't need to blast them with crazy heat like a bearded dragon. We can just give them a nice gentle warming of a corner for them to go choose to sunbathe in if they want to. Plus what this is going to do is just warm this tank a little bit overall, so they've got a warmer tank, especially if the room that your tank is like in the 60s. Then what we're going to use is a UVB lamp. Essentially what this means is your Crested gecko will be able to make a lot of vitamin D in their body using this, which means that you don't have to be worried too much about over supplementation or under supplementation of vitamin D. This basically means they can make it themselves. It's basically putting it on automatic mode, basically. You don't have to worry about it. Combine one of these and the gecko food you're probably going to feed your Crested gecko, you're going to be a-okay. So what I've got in here is a Zoom Ed 5.0. It's a really weak UVB tube. Doesn't need to be anything crazy high. Just a weak amount and a nice fixture. You can find that link down below. When we combine this with our heat lamp, we've got a nice gentle patch of sunshine for our Crested gecko to go sit in if it wants to. So you see where on this lid you've got it in two halves because we've got a center brace across here. I'm going to plonk my heat bulb right here and then my UVB across here. That's really the only config with this sort of style of lid that I can reasonably do. So we're going to plonk this guy right on here. 3, 2, 1, voila. Now don't worry if your heat lamp is a bit big and it like goes over the side and kind of sits on these rims. Normally if you've got like a really heavy hard duty heat lamp, it can melt the plastic, but because we're going for like a 20 watt, 30 watt, 40 watt, it's just a gentle amount of warmth. You're not going to burn it. So you can just kind of like get it on there roughly. It doesn't really matter. It's not going to melt anything. The next part is I'm going to put my UVB to sit across this front bit. Now it might overhang slightly, but it is what it is. Turn that on, bam. There we go, look at that. You've got a lovely bit of forest on one side. It can sit amongst the forest and the bush under the UVB and get a little bit in hiding areas, or it can come and sit on its sunshine patch up on the sticks there. Now the very last thing is to put a magnetic food bowl on the side of our glass here so that we can put our food bowls in a nice area for our Crested Gecko. In my instance, someone already put the magnets in the holes on this and have made it unusable. Not naming names, Ellie, but for me, I have found a big brain solution. So I have some spare little locks from like screen lids, and it's magnetic. So what I'm gonna do is do the most ratchet thing ever, but I'm gonna put this nicely right here and put these on the outside, and then it holds. I find that so funny. Adapt and overcome. Then your Crested Gecko now has got a nice bridge from here onto its food area, and this whole thing for the baby is nicely put together. It can access everything it needs to, and it's a short walk to its food area. I told you it was easy. You can make something beautiful and functional and amazing for your gecko for very little money. You can find all the equipment used in this video linked in our Amazon store down below. And if you like these types of videos, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.